Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. We listen to another edition of the Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County. So pleased to have in the studio with us today, Jane Lee. She is the chairwoman for UCSD's Asian Pacific Islander Alumni Council. How you doing, Jane?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, talk about the Alumni Council. How long has it been in existence, and what do you folks do?
It's been around longer than, I was even there at school, but I recently got involved. UC San Diego has always been so near and dear to my heart. It was my undergrad. I went to USD for graduate school, but truly it was such a formative experience there. That said, at the time, the resources and availability for communication majors such as myself, it was more theoretical. And I think it continues to be. It's one of the top theoretical communication departments in the country. However, you kind of had to make your own magic happen. And so I felt very compelled from the start to go and get my camcorder and microphone and go out and interview people and apply for internships and really create my own experiences. And you did certainly feel a little bit on your own at times. And because there's such a large number of students on campus, you do feel like a bit of a number. And so the retention afterward, after graduation, and kind of a sense of loyalty to the university, it's really hard to keep because, you just kind of can go by without being noticed in any way. That said, I still did feel a lot of gratitude and had the opportunity recently to basically serve in that way and stepped up as chair of the Alumni Council, specifically the API arm of it. And it's been incredibly rewarding because the team there is all focused on making sure that we create those opportunities for existing students and for alumni. We want to create a better network, a stronger one, and one which is also outward focused. We want to make sure that students who are there right now have scholarships, and we've been fundraising for opportunities like that and created an endowment fund. So really our efforts are much beyond ourselves, and it's really about creating a better future for existing students and alumni ranging from, recent graduates all the way to, the 50 plus, golden tritons.
Yeah. So when did you get interested in communication? When you were a little kid, you were always were you in front of the TV doing the sports report? I'm not sure if you're even a sports fan for that matter. But
I am a huge sports fan. I played football for 7 years. I'm a Lions fan. And
really?
Yes, I played tight end and I backed up as QB one time. I will not go back to QB, but I am a huge football fan. So
you're a Lions fan. Okay. So have you forgiven Stafford for coming to my LA Rams?
Never.
Okay. Very, very good.
But I love
your coach,
golf.
by the way.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't do anything for him, really?
Well, I think that guy calls more fourth down plays than anybody in the history of football over here.
That's the grit.
Were you interested in becoming a sports announcer or play-by-play or color or whatever?
Sure. Much of it was really driven through entertainment reporting. When I was younger, I was more focused on dance and pop culture and things like that. So I had an affinity toward being on camera and reporting. I remember in 5th grade, they asked me what I wanted to be. I still have the paper. It says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wrote news anchor. So I think I felt at an early age what I really liked. And so I ended up doing Channel 6 here, which was the CW affiliate at the time. I did a little bit of news reporting there and had my own little segment called Trending and Friending, along with my co-host, Chase Kane at the time. So it was a great experience. And a lot of it led from, my experiences at UCSD, really just from the ground up, just creating opportunities. And then that led to an internship at CW. Then, ultimately landing a job there. And then now I just go and, have kind of created my own productions and work with different social media outlets that, compound the audience and really, expand the viewership. So, I love doing it. I love being on red carpets and speaking with the people at the highest level of their game, whether it be in sports, whether it be in music, TV, film, et cetera, et cetera. I love to be in the heartbeat of that.
So you grew up in Michigan, is that correct?
I did not. I wish I did. I grew up in Los Angeles. Los Angeles to me is really where my home is. But some of my best friends lived in Detroit and grew up in Detroit. And so I was looking for a team, to be honest. I was like, the Chargers left. My heart was broken. I was a free agent, basically. And they kind of pulled me in to become a Lions fan.
Okay, so I'm about 105 years older than you. Let's just get that on the table.
Oh,
here.
come on.
And I grew up in LA. Okay. And I'm a former sports writer. So, so it's interesting you say you were never an LA Ram fan because they were in St. Louis probably when you were there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, right. Which doesn't count because that doesn't count. They weren't my Rams, for God's sake, when they did that. So our Lions are going to be your team forever, correct?
Yes. Okay. I've committed the last several years.
Okay, very, very good. Let's get back to the work you're doing with the Alumni Council. We're chatting with Jane Lee. She's chairwoman of the UCSD's Asian Pacific Islander Alumni Council in this area. You're working with scholarships, right, for students. Are those students that are in the communications major or any student?
Any API student at UCSD who has shown obviously people students at UC San Diego are all deserving of all the opportunities that we can possibly provide, but really just the standouts and those we feel can really drive forward, our mission, and also in the future become these, rock stars who are doing amazing things in the community, in their industries. So that's really our purpose and our philanthropic arm of the council.
Yeah, I love the fact. Because I'm so interested in this, I've been doing this for a billion years myself, is, the focus on service and the focus on getting the word out. And if you don't get the word out, people aren't going to know what's going on. How important is that to you?
This day and age, we have an influx of information that we receive or look for every day. We wake up to our phones, we sleep to our phones, we talk on our phones, we look at it. So to be able to discern amidst the noise what is worthy of our attention and cause is incredibly important, and a tool and a skill that I think needs to be sharpened by larger audiences. And by communicating that this is something that we, in this day and age, need to refine and to be focused on is incredibly important, in my opinion. And that all the more with the climate of everything that continues to go on, we need to be mindful of that and help advance forward. We cannot stay stuck and we cannot stay hopeless. We need to keep driving that positive change in whatever form and skill that you're able to. It doesn't have to be in this specific university setting. It doesn't have to be in a specific industry. Whatever you're good at, whatever you are able to contribute, that is, I believe, what you can do. So
how do we do that? I spent many years in education, then in journalism for the Union Tribune. And of course, recently, one of the things that irks me more than anything when people call things fake news, it's not fake because you disagree with it. you just disagree with it. It doesn't make the thing fake. How do we get people to understand and get through some of this noise? I think it's got to start at K-12. to some extent. It's got to start in the home, actually, to be honest with you.
Yes. And even that, to me, I also, my master's in education, so my heart is big on, early childhood development. And I have a 6-year-old myself. It does start in the home. However, even in that context, it also requires that there is even the capacity to talk about that at home, right? Much of the access to information is often limited and clouded. And, by the time it reaches those who have less access to real truth, it gets really, within communities, it can get really exacerbated. And so I don't put the onus on necessarily the family or the community itself. I really think it's responsibility among journalists and those who are kind of the gatekeepers of the news to really be able to hold true to their integrity for what, why they're doing their job. Because if we can continue to put, the responsibility on these already pressured communities, and that's really not going to get anywhere. They already continue to face so much that we really need to, those who have a certain level of privilege need to be able to be better stewards and responsible.
Well, there's no question about it. Again, when we were doing our J studies, and this was a long, I'm sure you weren't even born when I was doing my journalism studies, for God's sake. But
how old do you think I am?
A lot younger than me. That's what I'm going to say. A lot younger than me. But my point is that, and it's near and dear to my heart. And when I see some of the things that aren't happening in journalism, that I think should be, it's either to be an armchair quarterback, but actually was in it, that needs to be corrected. But I think as much as anything, when people do have the capacity to do this, in the background, you understand this. You can explain to your 6-year-old, here's some things you need to take a look at when you hear information. How can you delineate that it's true or not? Obviously, it depends on the maturity level of the student and all that. Because to me, that is what is so critical and what's going on in this world today, especially in our country, and that's fine. But you need to have the tools and the sets to do that. Getting back to we come back from break, I want to talk about something that's also near and dear to your heart, and that's philanthropy. And chatting about that world, getting the word out on it. And then we always save some time at the end, Jane, for what can our listeners do to support your work, especially at UCSD's Asian Pacific Islander Alumni Council, or anything else that you think they can support. We've been doing the show for a long time now, 19 years, so a lot of the listeners are sort of interested in helping out when they can. When we return with Jane Lee, Chairwoman for UCSD's Asian Pacific Islander Alumni Council. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to Cloudcast Media's Spotlight on the Community show. We've been doing this now for 19 years, and we are sponsored by the Mission Fed Credit Union folks for 6 decades, doing great things in San Diego County. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades. They're doing great things. So pleased to have in the studio with us today, Jane Lee, Chairwoman of UCSD's Asia Pacific Islander Alumni Council, but a communication maven. I'm going to call you a maven on this. That's a positive word, by the way, and I think you know that. And talking about communications and journalism and truths and all that business. But talk a little bit about philanthropy and why that is so important to you.
Philanthropy is such a loaded word and has both positive and negative connotations. I think I want to kind of shift the attention a little bit on a practical way that communities continue to drive forward positive change. I think one of the underestimated industries or fields, if you will, is the arts. The arts have historically been one of the most powerful tools in driving societal change. And if you think about the billions, I'm talking billions of hours streamed on various services, the impact is, it is not quantifiable in terms of how we are shaped by what we watch, what we read, what we consume on a daily basis. So for me, the arts has always been something I've gravitated toward, not as just someone who enjoys it, but as a conduit for social change. And so for me, investing in and pouring into film festivals and independent ones, and helping. I was most recently involved as one of the board members for Pacific Arts Movement. I don't serve in that capacity anymore, but Pacific Arts Movement is the organization behind the San Diego Asian Film Festival, and it's been around for over 25 years. I was actually an intern there when I was in college.
Was that when Leanne was doing it?
That is correct. She was the executive director at the time. Yep, everyone knows Leanne. And so for me, for her to have that vision so early on and to, see the impact of AA and HBI representation on the screen, but also to drive forward that in a way where people were compelled to watch films and to, be moved by them. I think that's what really changes hearts and minds more than this kind of course, there is a space for, giving money and fundraising. That is an incredibly important part of the drive. But the arts is really where my heart lies when it comes to that. And so any opportunity to help fund it, especially when a lot of funds are being cut in those spaces right now, I would recommend that because, these kids are going to be our future executives, the ones that are in the studios, the ones that are, having the podcast, the ones that are, creating films and short films. We want to invest and help grow the future there, in my opinion.
The reason why I'm smiling, one of the things when I was working for San Diego Unified, again, another zillion years ago, a different, millennium, I guess, we worked pretty closely with the visual performing arts folks in VAPA, and now been doing this show for 19 years. The VAPA Foundation is very, near and dear to my heart. I used to write curriculum back in the day for the school district. You can teach every single subject under the sun with visual performing arts, history, physics, you name it, with it. But what comes out of it is this thing that we sort of lost our way on, that's empathy. And the arts does all that. And you're so spot on this aspect of it. And, I'm really pleased to hear you say that. It is true. Arts are a collaborator that brings people together, music, art, dance, whatever the case may be. And it seems that no matter where you are and whatever political divide, you bring art into the mix, you bring music into the mix, you bring whatever. Those things go away. And hopefully they can go away, permanently on this. Getting back to the council, what can we do to support your efforts at UCSD's Asia Pacific Islander Alumni Council?
Oh, thank you. That's such a kind thing to ask. We always have, so currently we just got our extension for a match from the chancellor for $1 million until next year. Thank you. It's not just me, it's really the efforts of our team and those on all the affinity councils who basically requested, hey, we need more time, but we also know that we can, achieve that and work toward that together. So there are opportunities to donate to UC San Diego's scholarship funds and drive that. So I think that is really important. I think as far as supporting, efforts in general, it really is about creating that compassionate society, given everything that continues to go on. We just want to create a more compassionate society. And I think things fall into place after that, and, people need support now more than ever. And so in whatever small or big way that you can, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, well, it's about communication. I mean, something that's, you when you were, was it a fifth grader that you decided you were going to be, doing these things? By the way, I was in eighth grade when I made the epiphany to become a sports writer. And there was an assignment in our eighth grade English class that got me motivated to do. I always loved sports. And so, and then I became a sports writer a billion years ago. And, so I think that, but the communication part of it is just so critical. Is your 6-year-old, how is she involved with communication? How does she communicate?
She is one of the most effective communicators I've ever met in my life, and that includes adults as well. She's incredibly sharp, eloquent, but also incredibly compassionate. And my purpose in life is to basically continue to steward my responsibility as a mother to raise a wonderful human being to make the world a better place.
So I will guarantee you, and obviously you have the skill set. We talk about this way too many times. I don't think we talk about it way too many times in my show. I'm not sure why I'm even saying that. She's a phenomenal listener. We hear, a lot of people can hear, but people are pretty terrible at listening and truly listening. She must be a great listener.
She is for her age. She listens to what's between the lines as well, and she can sense it and pick up on it, and that is emotional intelligence if I've ever seen it. It's a skill that many children and adults, including myself, need to continue working on.
Yeah, again, when I was teaching part-time at San Diego State, my first lecture, I taught in journalism, writing for the media and information gathering. My first lecture was always on listening. It wasn't on writing. And the students would go, well, why are we learning about listening? I said, if you want to be a good journalist, you better be an expert in listening. And that's very different than hearing, okay? You actually have to focus on what the person is saying, not guess what they're going to say, not think this is what's going to go from here, and listen. And, all of us were not perfect, but we do a pitiful job listening. In this world, which is so tied to communication. So anyway, good for your daughter. I think that's going to do great. Any other final comments, Jane?
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I also need to continue to work on that myself. And, listening is something that we need now more than ever to continue to bridge the divide and to work together. Otherwise, it'll be fruitless. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, chatting about the UCSD, Asian Pacific Islander Alumni Council, and all the other things that you're doing media-wise. I think it's fantastic. I know we'll find a way to have you back on the show, talk more about anything that is of interest to you, especially in the world of communication, and wishing you just nothing but great success moving forward.
Thank you, Drew, so much. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Jane Lee, and Chairwoman of the UCSD Asian Pacific Islander Alumni Council. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County. And we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.